and Merry Early Christmas and Happy Holidays. I am so stoked for this video because Kat and I are going to be giving you our favorite holiday horror movies or winter horror movies. So if this sounds cool to you, then keep watching. And if you like videos like this, then subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you. But again, I have Miss Kat here. And if you haven't watched Kat before, you need to. I'm going to have her Instagram and Facebook in the description box below. And you should totally follow her because she always has awesome horror facts and just awesome horror pictures all the time. We're gonna go ahead and get this party started. So Kat, I'm gonna have you start today and give us your first holiday horror recommendation.
All right, well, I'm just as excited as you to do this video because obviously Halloween is my favorite time of the year, but I can say that now I've gotten a little soft spot for Christmas, so I'm feeling festive as fuck right now. So let's all make that a hashtag. Let's make that trend, festive as fuck right now. Anyway, I have a lot of interesting ones to talk about. So my number one that I'm going to talk about is my number one go-to holiday horror movie, and that is Silent Night, Deadly Night. Have you seen that one?
Seen that one. I know
Yeah.
that I need to. I found it on Shudder, but it's only the second one. So
oh yeah,
watch the first one. So I want you to explain this movie to me because it sounds very cool.
Well, see, the funny thing is about the second one is that, you will hear the funny thing about the second one is that it's basically like a 2-for-1 deal because literally the first half of the movie is just a recap of the first movie, and then the second half is the rest of the second movie. So even if you haven't seen the first one, you could just watch the second one, and like I said, 2-for-1. You basically get 1 and 2 together.
Okay,
so yeah, maybe you can watch it on Shudder because, like I said, it's basically just both movies together.
And so what is this movie about?
So this movie is about a character named Billy who, when he was a child, he watched his parents get murdered by a man dressed up as Santa Claus. And obviously that traumatized him. And, so after that, he was sent to this orphanage where he was, it seemed like things just got worse for Billy from there because at the orphanage, he was abused constantly by the Mother Superior who instilled in him the phrase, once you see the movie, you'll understand the phrases, punish and naughty. And, obviously that messed him up too. And of course, every year at Christmas, it's, a trigger for him. And once he becomes a teenager, he gets a job at a toy store. And, they make the mistake of saying, hey, this kid's parents got murdered by a guy dressed as Santa. Why don't we have him play Santa?
Yeah,
and then it just goes downhill from there. And, the murders begin. And yeah, this movie is from 1984. And interestingly enough, it came out the same year as Nightmare on Elm Street. But this movie is very, very cheesy. It's one of those movies where it's once you see it, you'll see what I mean. And not only that, but it also has really gory kills. And speaking of gory, this movie actually got a lot of flack when it came out because mothers were so angry at this movie because they were like, Santa is sacred, and we don't want Santa depicted as an axe murderer because our children are going to see that and be scared of Santa. But it's like, okay, instead of sitting their kids down and talking about it and saying this is just a movie, it's not real, Santa is not an axe murderer, they were just like, we're gonna protest this movie and just make people ironically go watch it, want to watch it more.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's a very interesting part about this movie. And I actually got to meet the actor who plays Billy, Robert Brian Wilson, at a horror convention a couple years ago, back when life was normal and we could go places. And I used to have such a crush on Billy in this movie because he's so handsome, and he still is, and he's the nicest guy ever. And it's funny because this movie is so dark and fucked up, but you meet him and he's like, hey guys, he's real happy-go-lucky.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been interested in watching it. When I saw it on Shudder, I'm like, I bet this is going to be a Kat recommendation.
Oh yeah.
Because I read that the first movie had Linnea Quigley, which I know
love
her. So I was like, I bet that Kat's going to recommend this series. But I definitely need to watch it. I haven't gotten to it yet. But now that I know that you don't really need to watch the first one to watch the second one, then I definitely will. I think it may be on Amazon Prime too, if I'm not mistaken. But
I'm
that's
not
how.
sure, but yeah, I know the second one is on Shudder,
Yeah,
and
for
like I
sure it's
said,
on Shudder.
yeah, and like I said, like the best part is you don't really have to watch the first movie.
Yeah, now that I know that, I definitely need to check it out. So, my first recommendation, and it may be a given, it's not necessarily a Christmas movie. I see it as a Christmas movie. It's more of a winter movie, but it's The Shining. If I'm going to be real with you guys, every Christmas I watch The Shining. There's just something about The Shining that just fills me with Christmas joy.
It's the snow.
Yeah. If you guys haven't watched The Shining yet and you are horror buffs, probably should watch The Shining. It's a classic. Basically, you have the Torrance family, and the dad got this job to watch over this like hotel while they close down during the winter, because during the winter, basically, the hotel gets snowed in, so they close it down the whole winter. And he's kind of like a groundskeeper person to watch over this hotel. Well, the hotel is like haunted, you could say, and there's a lot of things going on and a lot of like imagery that you could read into with The Shining, but basically weird things happen, and the fact that they're all snowed in, the dad kind of starts to go crazy, and then the son, Danny, has these like psychic powers so he can see things, and it's really good. Now, Stephen King hated this movie adaptation with Jack Nicholson, but I thought it was great. I mean, I've watched this movie since I was a kid. I've watched it every Christmas time since I was a kid, and it's one of my favorites. Now, I haven't fully read the book yet. If you watch my previous movies, I have like fourth of it to read, which hopefully I can finish it this Christmas time, but the book is really good so far too. So if you haven't read the book, definitely should start reading the book and then watch the movie. But I know that's not like an out of the box recommendation, but if I'm gonna be real with you guys, The Shining is what I watch every Christmas time.
I can totally see why you would pick The Shining, because yeah, like it's not really a Christmas movie, but just like the feel of it. I mean, like they're in this big, warm, like place with a fireplace, and it's snowing heavily outside, and they're all like bundled up and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I was saying this recently, like when I first watched The Shining, I thought it was so boring. Like I turned it off halfway. Luckily, my boyfriend convinced me that I needed to rewatch it, and because that's one of his favorite horror movies. And so I did, and I can honestly say that I did enjoy it like a lot more the second time that I watched it. Like really sat down and watched it, because it is a long movie too, and it's like a slow burn. But I don't know, like I guess I just wasn't in the mood, or it's probably one of those things where it's like, well, when you watch it as an adult, you like appreciate it more, you know what I mean? And yeah, like I did enjoy it the second time that I watched it. And a friend of mine actually, hey Andrew, this is for you. He actually had an extra copy of the novel, and he sent it to me, which is really nice. So now I'm happy that I have the book as well, and I'm hoping to one day, get around to reading the book, because I've also heard that the book obviously is far more different than the movie. Like a good example is that in the book, Jack, he starts out as like an everyman, like he's happy and cares for his family, but the movie makes it seem like he was always crazy. And I know that's one of the reasons why Stephen King hated it.
Yeah, and I feel like also the book centers more around like Danny. Like you understand more of what like Danny's thinking. And so far, like I said, I haven't read the ending yet. I'm so close. I'm gonna finish it this year. It's on my bucket list. But
have you seen Dr. Sleep?
I haven't yet, no, because I need to finish the book.
It's Dr. Sleep is really good too. Like I'm not a huge fan of The Shining as like my boyfriend, but I can admit that Dr. Sleep was a really good movie and highly recommended if you are a huge fan of The Shining.
Yeah, I need to read the rest of The Shining, and then I need to read the book Dr. Sleep, and then I will watch Dr. Sleep the movie. But from what I've read so far of The Shining, the book is better than the movie, which is crazy. I love the movie, but the book just like sucks you in. You're like, there's just so many little details from the story that you don't get with the movie. Like it makes the movie make more sense when you read the book. You're like, oh, okay, that's what they're getting at. But it'd be way too long of a movie if they put all those details into that movie instead of the book. But yes, so this Christmas, if you want a book and a movie to read and watch, The Shining, definitely. Highly recommend.
Yeah. Isn't that always the case though with like movie adaptations is like the book is far more detailed and it's far more better.
Yeah, and that's why I personally like reading the book before watching the movie, because like the book, I have the whole story, and then when I watch the movie, I'm like, okay, this is what they were trying to get at within the book.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes me forever to watch movies sometimes, because I have all these books on my shelf that I just need to get to. I just don't have enough time.
Oh, I feel you.
Okay, what else do you have for us?
My second recommendation is probably a little lesser known Christmas horror movie, and that is P2.
P2, I have not even heard of that one.
And if good for you, it's on Amazon Prime for free.
Ooh,
so you can watch it. Yeah.
I haven't heard of this one. So what's this one about?
Well, this one is about a woman who she works at like this real fancy kind of office building in like the city and everything. And it's Christmas Eve and it's night, and she's about to leave her job because she's going to go visit her family. So she goes into the parking garage where her car is. And that's the thing too, is that this movie takes place entirely in a parking garage. And along the way, we meet this security guard who works there named Thomas, which is funny because that's my boyfriend's name. And later on in the movie, she says, "Fuck you, Thomas." And so I told my boyfriend that, and he's like, "I bet you want to say that to me sometimes." And I'm just like, no. But yeah, so there's a security guard named Thomas, and he like, says like, "Oh, like bye and happy holidays and everything." And you think, okay, she's gonna leave already. But then shit starts happening, of course, and it turns out that Thomas has been stalking her and is like obsessed with her, and he kidnaps her and basically holds her hostage in his little security office, whatever they call it. And surprisingly, this movie, like I said, even though it takes place entirely in one setting, it's surprisingly pretty violent. Like, when Thomas goes crazy and tries to keep her, I forgot the character's name, but he tries to keep her like captive, make sure she doesn't get away. But it was a really interesting movie. It was really good. Like I said, like it's not really well known. So, if anybody hasn't heard of that movie, is interested in watching it, like I said, it's on Amazon Prime for free, so you can watch it. And this movie also has, if you're an American Horror Story fan like myself, it also has Wes Bentley, from who you probably may recognize mostly from season 5 Hotel. He played like the dad, and he plays Thomas in this movie. So, that's a little something for us American Horror Story fans there. And this movie was also directed by Alexandre Aja. I feel like I'm saying his name wrong, but he directed the Hills Have Eyes remake, which if you saw our last video, I said that is one of my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. And I just love his movies. Like, I love his direction. I love his use of gore in his movies. Like, somehow he just makes it work. And he, like, when I get down to it, he's probably my favorite horror director, and he's definitely an underrated one. Like, he has done quite a few good horror movies, this being one of them. And so, yeah, I totally recommend P2 if you haven't seen it.
That sounds really good. Like, another trope I love is like kidnappings.
Yeah.
And like, I actually really like when movies take place in like one city or like one setting. Like, I feel like they're more intense because they're just in one location. Like, there's not a lot of moving parts. And I don't know. So I am really excited. Like, I actually may watch that tonight because
please do.
Right up my alley. That sounds so good. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. So good recommendation. So, my next one, again, it's nothing people probably haven't heard of. But if I'm going to be real with you guys on what I watch for Christmas, my second recommendation, and see, I actually had a really hard time making my list because I wasn't for sure if this one was even considered horror, but I recommend Edward Scissorhands. I watch that every Christmas. Yeah, I was
about to put that on my list too.
Yes, and I kept going back and forth. So I was in an honorable mention, Nightmare Before Christmas. That was another one. I'm like, I probably shouldn't put Edward Scissorhands and Nightmare Before Christmas because I feel like they may be a given. But I feel like Edward Scissorhands may be a little less known than Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and recommend it because I think everyone should watch it around Christmas time. It's more of a family movie. It's about as scary as The Addams Family or Beetlejuice. So I would say that it's more of a family movie, but it's kind of dark, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, like,
have not heard of Edward Scissorhands. A young Johnny Depp and Winona Ryder are in the movie, and also Michael C. Hall from The Breakfast Club.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Anthony Michael Hall. That's it. Yeah.
That's the one for. That's the guy from Dexter.
That's
Yeah.
it, yeah. Again, guys, I am super, super bad with names. I never know them. But if you liked The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, what's his name? Anthony Michael Hall?
Yeah.
He actually plays the jock in this movie, like the bad guy, buff jock, which is so funny. And you have a young Winona Ryder and then a young Johnny Depp. But basically, Johnny Depp is Edward Scissorhands. He was living in this like big mansion thing on the outside of town, and this Avon lady discovers him and decides to bring him home and, you know, get him involved in the community. Well, he's got these like scissor hands and he's an outcast basically. And it's just trying to get him like acclimated to this very bright and bubbly town. And he's like this dark character. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's a lot of imagery in this movie, and every time I watch it, I get like a new message out of the movie. But it's just so, so good, you guys. And it sounds really dumb, but it's just a beautiful movie, and it takes place around Christmas time, and it's actually pretty sad, in my opinion. The ending kills me every time. I feel so bad. Yeah, but it's just a good movie. So if you guys have not seen Edward Scissorhands, definitely recommend.
I totally agree with you. Like I said, I was thinking about putting that as my last on my list, but then I decided to go with another one. So, you know, applause to you for doing that for me, adding that into the recommendations. Like Edward Scissorhands, it's more like a fantasy kind of like heartfelt movie because like you said, like there's some parts that, you know, just they literally just break your heart. The character of Edward, you know, in traditional Tim Burton fashion, looks like this strange, dark, you know, character, and he's like in this bright pastel suburbia setting.
Yes.
Like you said, it takes place around Christmas, and I have always loved this movie. I love everything about this movie. The story, I mean, especially the score, and I'm super excited because Waxwork Records basically hinted that they're going to put out the soundtrack on vinyl. I'm super excited about that. Oh my god, I love the soundtrack so much. Danny Elfman is a genius at everything he does for Tim Burton. I mean, it's one of those scores where like you just feel it, you know, it's so beautiful. It could bring you to tears, you know, like especially the ice dance scene when she's dancing in the snow. And like you said, the ending is what
kills me.
Yeah, it's what gets me, like when she's an old woman and she's telling her granddaughter, like, you know, I know Edward's still alive because he's still making it snow. I'm just like
the robbery scene kills me every time.
Yeah.
I like want to literally punch Anthony Michael Hall. Is that Anthony?
Yeah, you got it.
Anthony Michael Hall. I want to punch him in the nose. Like, oh, he makes me so mad in this movie.
But he gets what's coming to him.
Yeah, he's a prick. Like, he's a little prick in this movie. You know, I don't know if he like buffed up because he was a little nerd and now he thinks he's all big and bad, but
right.
He's a little prick in this movie. Straight up. But it's a good movie, you guys. And this is something you could probably watch with your kids. Like I said, it's about as scary as Beetlejuice and the Addams Family.
Yeah. If you've seen the Tim Burton movie, you know what you're in for.
It's a Tim Burton movie, so it's nothing like super scary. But it just has those dark feels around Christmas. Like, it's not a cheery, happy Christmas film, even though it takes place in this like very, like she said, pastel, bright environment. But then you have this one dark character coming in. It's so good.
That was all of us when we were little emo kids.
Yes. If you were in middle school and you watched this movie and you were one of those weirdos, you definitely identified and related to this movie. It's so good. You should watch it. Highly recommend. So what other recommendation do you have for us?
My next recommendation is probably a little bit of a controversial one because there's been 2 adaptations of this and people are so like divided on it, but that would have to be Black Christmas, the 2006 remake.
See, I haven't seen these either. I've heard the reason I've heard of them is
the original is on Shudder.
Yes, they're on Shudder, and they're on my list. Like, honestly, you guys, I've been just trying to go through the Shudder Unhappy Holiday playlist, and I've been playing them. The Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, and then Black Christmas are like the last 2 on this playlist, so I haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
So go ahead and explain it to those of us who have not heard of this movie or know what it's about.
Well, obviously, I do like the original 1974 version. because obviously it was the OG and it came first. But I also, when I was first getting into like really getting into horror films as a kid, Black Christmas, the 2006 remake, had just come out at that time, and that was just the one that I watched the most. Like, I didn't see the original yet, but I knew about it, but I had just seen the 2006 remake the most when I was a kid. And I know people, they don't like this remake because, you know, they say like, oh, well, you know, it's just dumb, and it's one of those remakes where it went Rob Zombie on us and gave us the killer's backstory, which the original did not, which makes it even creepier,
Yeah.
which I totally agree. I don't know, like I said, I'm a gore whore. I love gore, and especially when it's done right. And to me, this remake did it right. I mean, the killer's backstory in this movie is so disturbing. Like, I won't even like, you know, really get into it, but I'll just leave it at that. It's so disturbing that you're kind of just like, okay, we're going there. But yeah, this movie has a lot of really gory kills, and I like it. And, you know, like, I'm sure you know that last year we had the Blumhouse remake, which was so awful. I'm so sorry if anybody actually likes the 2019 remake, but it was so awful. And, like, basically me and my boyfriend went to go see it as a joke. Like, we knew it was going to be bad. And like, deep down, I was kind of hoping to, like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, like, this movie will surprise me and it won't be so bad. No, not even close. It was just as bad, if not worse. And, you know, what I hated about that remake is the whole, like, feminism thing. Now, I'm a feminist. And, you know, obviously I believe in women's rights, women's representation, especially in horror, which, you know, I love a badass woman in horror. But this one, it just, like, took that and just shoved it down our throats. And it was just so stupid. Like, again, I'm sorry if anybody watching actually likes that remake, and I'm sure you have your reasons for it. And you may feel the opposite as me, that you like the 2019 remake, but you hate the 2006, where I feel the opposite. I like the 2006 one better than the 2019. I respect that. Just, sorry, I just didn't like that remake. So I would prefer and recommend the 2006 remake. And the cool thing about the 2006 remake is that it has a few scream queens who we have seen in modern horror. We have Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I just love as an actress. She was in Final Destination 3, but if you're not a horror fan, you may recognize her more as Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
I saw that a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah, like, that's where most people I talk to who don't even like or into horror remember her from. But it also has Katie Cassidy, who was in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which, again, I'm sure we can all agree was awful. And it also, not a scream queen, but it also has Lacey Chabert, who, if you're obsessed with the movie Mean Girls like I am,
Yes.
she was Gretchen in Mean Girls.
Oh,
None for
okay.
Gretchen Wieners.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Then I may have to watch the movie because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have not seen these, and I know I should, because I know, like, it's a classic, and I need to watch it. That and the Silent Night, Deadly Night have been on my list. I'm like, I know I need to watch them.
Yeah.
I have it. And, like, what's the premise of the movie? Isn't it about, like, sorority girls or something like that?
Yeah, it's about these sorority sisters, and they start getting, like, these really weird phone calls, and it, you know, like, it's the killer calling them and, you know, saying, like, it's me, Billy, and all that. And, you know, like, and like I said, in the original, we don't know anything about Billy the killer. Like, it's very it's ambiguous. It's very ambiguous. Like, why is he after the sorority sisters? Why is he killing them?
Yeah.
Why is he calling them? And, you know, like I said, the remake, the 2006 remake, gives us more backstory. I could see why people would prefer no backstory, because the original is very creepy, and it actually really isn't that violent. Everything is very, like, off screen and ambiguous. So again, that's what makes it creepy.
Yeah. So why I've kind of been hesitant about watching Black Christmas is because I'm not a big fan of, like, the whole sorority house trope with, like, the really ditzy girls and, like, the stupid kills. Like, sometimes it annoys me. So are these girls, are they, like, really ditzy and stupid? And
oh no, not in the original. The original actually has a pretty good final girl in the character of Jess, played by Olivia Hussey. I think I'm saying her name right. Again, I'm bad with names too. But yeah, the original has a pretty good final girl, and she has a very interesting story because there's also this abortion subplot, which is also why people consider it a feminist movie as well. But in the remake, the girls are very ditzy.
Gotcha, yeah. See, sometimes I can't get past the ditziness. Like, if I'm like, man, that was so stupid, like, no one would do that kind of thing. Like, sometimes it kind of annoys me. But I will definitely have to watch those because they are a fan favorite for a reason. So, probably.
Yeah, and if you want to stay away from the ditziness, I would highly recommend watching the original then.
Okay, and that
Yeah.
one's the one that's on Shudder. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I will definitely have to watch that. So, my next recommendation is one I actually just saw, and it's on Shudder and it's on Amazon Prime, but it's called Better Watch Out. Have you seen
Oh,
this one?
I have seen like the poster so many times, but I have not gotten around to watching it. But I have been thinking about it.
Okay, yeah. So it took me a while to watch it too, but I was reading the reviews on it and it had a lot of good reviews. So I'm like, you know what? I am going to watch this movie. It is not what I expected at all. It was actually really, really good. And I'm going to have to watch this now every Christmas because the whole time I was watching it, like, my adrenaline was just pumping the whole time. Like, oh my God, how are they
Really?
going to get out of this situation? Like, I was just trying to think, like, they're never going to get out of this situation. I don't even know how they could. And then everything just, like, turns and there's twists and it's just so good. But basically, it's this home invasion. Like, there's this babysitter and she's watching this boy, like, I don't know if it's on Christmas Eve, it's around Christmas at some time, but she's watching this kid, and then there's a home invasion, and that's all I'm really going to tell you, because if I tell you any more, it'll totally give everything away in the movie, and I don't want to do that because
Yeah.
surprise is like, oh my God, I was thinking that this was just going to be an innocent, regular home invasion movie. No. But if I tell you anything else, then it's just going to ruin the movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Well,
that
now you've got me hyped to watch it.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Again, I wasn't expecting it to be that good because it kind of looked cheesy to me. I was like, well, it's December. I should watch some kind of, Christmas horror movie. So I gave this a try because it had a bunch of good reviews, and there's a good reason for it. So tonight, everyone, if you have not seen Better Watch Out, I highly recommend it because it's going to be the new movie I watch every Christmas time. It is so good. So good.
Well, I'm probably going to watch it tonight.
Yes, it'll give you a good adrenaline rush. Like, the whole time I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. So good.
Yeah, now you got me hyped to watch it. So I'm pretty sure I'm not doing anything tonight. So I'm like, hey, probably gonna Better Watch Out then. Yeah. After I finish watching season 4 of Big Mouth.
Oh yeah. I haven't watched that show either.
Oh, I love the show. It's so funny.
Well, you'll have to let me know what you think of Better Watch Out, and when you
I will.
The crazy thing I'm talking about, I want to know if that took you by surprise too, because it took me by surprise. I was not expecting that.
Well, I'll definitely check it out.
It's a different kind of movie, and so you should watch it to understand what I'm talking about, because
I definitely will.
Yeah. So what other movie do you have for us?
The next movie that I'm going to recommend, which is one that I finally watched recently after hearing about it for so long, and I'm so glad that I did. I don't really think it takes place on Christmas, but there's kind of something in there that hints at that maybe it's Christmas time, but that is The House of the Devil.
Oh, okay.
And as you told me, you didn't really care for that one.
It was all right. But yeah, so I have seen this one, but you probably know more about it than I do because I only watched it the one time.
Oh. Yeah. Well, this movie takes place in 1980s, which, I was already sold on. And it's about a girl who she's struggling to pay for her school, I think. And so she's kind of like trying to scrape together like, how am I going to pay for this? What can I do? And then she finds out about this babysitting job from a billboard. And the weird thing is that as soon as she calls, right away the people, they answer, and they're like, oh, thank God, like you answered our ad, we really need this. And right away you already know something kind of weird's probably going on. And so the girl goes to the house, and I don't really want to give away too much because it is a movie that you have to watch to see what happens. But when she gets to the house, she finds out that the job is not exactly what she signed up for. I mean, it's still a babysitting job, but there's something very different about it. And yeah, like this movie, it's a slow burn. And I mean, honestly, when I think about it, the title probably gives away already what is going on here. But yeah, like I really liked it. Like I usually don't really like slow burn movies. I mean, A24, I'm looking at you. Yeah, like I really don't like slow burn movies, but this one was one where I could say the payoff was worth it. I mean, that's just me personally. I know that you said it was a little slow for your taste, which I totally respect.
Yeah, it was a little too slow for me. Like I am totally into slashers, like gore here, gore.
Just in your face, get to the point.
Like, just like crazy graphics, like Adam Green movies.
Yeah.
Are like my favorite, where it's like just like these freaking nasty kills and like blood gushing. Like those are my kind of horror movies. This one was a little too slow burn. I can see why people like this movie, especially if you're into like the whole 80s horror, which I know the cat is definitely into the 80s horror. 80s horror is okay for me, but it wasn't my favorite personally. But I would still try it, especially if you like 80s, because it definitely has like a lot of references. It totally has that whole nostalgia factor to it. And yeah, I don't want to say too much because like Kat was saying, I don't want to give away the movie, but you should give it a try. You should definitely give it a try.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like it. A lot of people talk about the movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like a good friend of mine, yeah, she reviewed the movie on her channel, and you know, she was the whole reason why I decided to watch it. Alex, hey. And yeah, like I said, personally me, I loved it. I ended up really loving it. Now I have like 2 shirts in my closet of House of the Devil. If you're a sucker for 80s horror, just like I am, especially, you know, throwback movies like that, I definitely recommend it. And the interesting thing too is that this movie also stars Greta Gerwig before she became the big time feminist director that we know her for now, you know, Lady Bird and everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was the best friend, the blonde one.
Yeah, interesting. That's very interesting. What part of the movie made it seem like it was around Christmas time? Because I know you said like there may have been some parts that was around Christmas time.
Like at the beginning of the movie where she's walking around the school and then you hear like a church bell playing "Oh Come All Ye Faithful," like you hear the tune. Yeah, so yeah, because like the whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, it has like that winter feel, you know, like she's all bundled up and everything. It looks cold, and then like I hear the church bell playing A Christmas Carol, so I'm like, well, maybe it does take place around the winter time. So yeah, I was kind of hesitant to add this to my list because I was like, oh, I don't know if it really takes place on Christmas, but I remembered that. And then too, like I said, like, well, I'll probably add it anyway just because of the feel of it, you know?
Oh yeah, no, those are the best ones to watch around Christmas time. That's kind of what I was trying to do with my list, but I wasn't very successful. Like I was trying to rewatch movies to see like maybe there's like a little hint that this could have taken place around Christmas time.
Yeah.
I didn't find many of those.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you caught your little thing that it could have been around Christmas. That's awesome. So my next recommendation is, I never really thought of this as like a Christmas movie until just recently, but Child's Play. That is a total Christmas movie, like the original. So I was trying to watch the remake, and I was actually talking to Kat while I was watching it. I couldn't finish it. It was shit. Like it was so bad. And I really wanted to like it, but I could not get past that stupid Chucky doll. Oh my God, it was so freaking stupid looking.
I know, like Mark Hamill, you're better than this.
Yes, I was like, no, I can't do it. But the original Child's Play, or you know, Chucky, takes place around Christmas. So basically, Andy's mom got him Chucky for Christmas, and she was working at a department store during Christmas time. So this whole like craziness is happening all around the Christmas season. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to now watch Child's Play every Christmas. I don't know why I never put that together until very recently, that took place around Christmas time.
Yeah, I didn't think about that either. You're so right.
I don't know what made me think. Like I said, I was like rewatching some of my favorite like horror movies to see if maybe there's a little glimpse of Christmas. And then I was watching Child's Play. I was like, oh my gosh. I totally didn't even put that together that like he got the doll for Christmas.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know what Child's Play is, Again, it's a classic and you should watch it. Honestly, Child's Play is what got me into horror when I was little. It was one of my first horror movies that I ever got into, probably because I was a huge fan of Goosebumps, and The Night of the Living Dummy was my favorite Goosebumps book. And so when I heard of Chucky, I'm like, well, I have to watch Chucky now. And so, yeah, I always loved Chucky. Fun fact, my first cell phone back in the day was not these cool like iPhones. I had a tiny little track phone that I got from Walmart. And I went to Claire's and I got a bunch of little bedazzled beads to put on it. So like I stuck bedazzled beads all over it. But you had to get like these top-up cards to, put on your phone to actually have minutes. And you had to pay for like ringtones. Well, my ringtone was, "Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?" So every time my phone went off, that's what played. And my friends hated it, but I thought it was so funny.
Oh, wow.
Basically, the premise of the movie, it's nothing too extravagant. This little kid gets a doll from his mom for Christmas, and the doll has this like voodoo curse on it where this guy was about to die and he put his soul into a doll. And now the guy's soul, he's trying to find a host to, live in since he is dead, and Andy is who he's gunning for. So that's the premise of the whole movie. It's absolutely fantastic. And there's a whole series on it. And every single movie in the Chucky series is awesome, except for the remake. The remake was so freaking stupid. Don't try to watch it.
Stay away from the remake.
That's in it, Aubrey Plaza. What is that her name?
Oh, yeah, Aubrey Plaza.
See, that's why I thought that the remake was going to be good, because Aubrey Plaza was the mom. Don't let that fool you guys.
I couldn't take her as a mom. She was more like a sister. Yes. And then it didn't make sense that they made Andy older, because it's like, well, when he's little, he's going to seem more innocent when all this stuff's happening.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, him playing with that doll, and
yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing, and the Chucky doll was just, guys, it was
awful.
It was really, really freaking stupid. Shit. So if you're going to watch the Chucky series, you can watch from the original up until I watched until the Seed of Chucky. I don't know about the ones after the Seed of Chucky, if they were that good. Have you watched the other one?
I don't think so. Like
there was like a couple more after.
Yeah, there was Cult of Chucky, and then there's Curse of Chucky. I think I've seen one of them, but I haven't seen the other one. But it was a while ago. I can't really remember if they were good or not. But the entire Child's Play series, I would have to say my favorite is Bride of Chucky.
I was just about to say, if you're gonna watch it, you gotta watch The Bride of Chucky.
Part two is really good too.
Yeah. Tiff is like, honestly, I don't know. I don't think my mom ever took a picture, but I guess this is more from the Goosebumps book, The Bride of the Living Dummy, which was supposed to be like, The Bride of Chucky, but it was The Bride of the Living Dummy. So for school, we got to choose our favorite character to go to school as, and I chose the Bride of the Living Dummy or the Bride of Chucky. So like I had this like little white dress that looked like a wedding dress, and I remember I teased my hair up into the top ponytail, and then I did the whole doll face, and I went to school like that, and my mom's like, "You're gonna scare all the little kids," and I'm like, "That's okay. I'm okay with that."
I would have done the same.
Any pictures though, because I've never seen any pictures, but it's been fun to have. I was a weirdo even as a kid.
Same here.
Yeah. But
I once went to Build-A-Bear, and I built my bear to look like Damien from The Omen.
That's awesome. That is.
Yeah, I was perfectly normal.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. We were just Goosebumps kids too,
Yeah.
If you were big into Goosebumps, you're probably big into horror now, is what I would say.
Right?
Yeah. Chucky, great movie to watch over the holiday season. It is a new movie that I will be watching over Christmas now. What's the next one you have for us?
Well, this is actually my last recommendation. So sad. Yeah, for my last one, I was kind of having a little bit of a hard time trying to pick one, but I finally found one, and it's probably another lesser known one unless you're really into foreign horror movies, but that is Inside.
I haven't heard of this one.
Well, it's actually a French horror movie, and it came out, I think, around the mid 2000s. I can't really remember, but it's a Christmas Eve movie, and it's about this woman who is pregnant, a few weeks before the events of the move that happened in the movie, she was in a car accident that killed her husband, but she survived along with her baby. And so it's Christmas Eve, and she's getting ready to go to sleep. And I think she's going to give birth the next day, actually. So she's kind of preparing for that. But then all of a sudden, this mysterious woman shows up, and she somehow gets into her house, and she's trying to kill her. She's trying to take her unborn baby, like literally cut out her unborn baby for her own. And it's one of those things where it's like, why is this woman here? Why is she showing up? Why is she after her baby? Why does she want to kill her so bad? So it's kind of got like that mystery element in it. Like I said, this is a foreign horror movie, and usually foreign horror movies are crazy.
Yes.
And this movie was crazy. I mean, the blood, the gore, it was insane. Yeah, like by the end of the movie, there was so much blood, it was just like a damn river running down the stairs and everything. Yeah, and like I said, it's a French horror movie, so if you don't mind reading subtitles, but I think you can also watch it in English as well, unless you really understand French. You can watch it in French.
I took
But
college.
yeah. But
I understand it.
but yeah, Inside, if you're into foreign horror movies and crazy horror movies at that, I would recommend Inside.
I'll have to definitely check that out. Is that one on Shudder or Amazon Prime?
I don't think it's on Shudder. It's probably on Amazon Prime. I don't know. You'd have to see.
Inside, I will have to check that out. You came up with some really good recommendations because I don't think I've seen any of them, and a lot of them I haven't even heard of, except for The House of the Devil. I think
Yeah.
that's the only one. So those were really good.
Oh,
My
thanks.
last recommendation, speaking of Adam Green, I love his movies. Well, like, you know, the Hatchet series, but
Yeah.
he also came out with Frozen. And that is literally one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Now, it's not specifically Christmas, but it takes place.
And it's not the Disney movie.
Oh, yeah, not the Disney movie Frozen. No. Don't get confused. This is the Adam Green version of Frozen, and it is fantastic. I actually watched Frozen before I even seen the Hatchet series. I love the Hatchet series, but Frozen is just like tops it off. Definitely top 5 favorite horror movies. And if you guys have not heard of Frozen, basically it's about these 3 college kids who go to a ski resort for a weekend, and they are going on the last ride up to the hill before the ski lodge closes for like a week or so because there's a bad storm coming. So they're on the last batch of people that go up. Well, they get stuck on the ski lift because nobody realizes that they're still up there. So imagine being stuck on a ski lift in a winter storm and nobody is around. It is so scary. And Adam Green, like, that may seem like a really like kind of stupid scenario, but kind of like what Kat was saying with the one that takes place in a garage, like a car garage. This movie just takes place like on a ski lift. And
Yeah.
it's freaking terrifying, and it is gruesome, and it is gory, and there are some killer wolves in there, and it is just awesome. Awesome. And that's why I saved it for last, because it is the best out of all of them. You should watch Frozen. It's great.
Yeah, I've heard of Frozen before, and yeah, it did pique my interest, so I will definitely be adding that to my watch list.
Yes, it's not on Amazon Prime or on Shudder right now. I have it as like a digital copy. I'm able to watch it that way, but guys, I love that movie. It is so good, and it is sad, and it is scary, and you don't think that a movie that literally just takes place in a seat the whole time is freaking gory. I don't know how Adam Green does it, because it is gory, and it is and it makes me never ever want to go skiing in my entire life.
I mean, it's like P2, you know, you think like, how can being stuck in a parking garage be gory? You'll be surprised.
Yes.
These filmmakers know what they're doing.
Yes. Oh man, it is so good. And if you guys don't know who Adam Green is, he directed the Hatchet series. And if you have Shudder and you watch Holliston on Shudder, he is Adam Green, character in Holliston. And fun fact, the ski resort that they're at is called the Holliston Ski Lodge.
Oh.
So, yeah.
It's ironic.
I'm a big Holliston fan, so I love Adam Green. I have a big crush on Adam Green. I think he is so freaking hot. So, watching. Hey, how's it going? But, yeah. So, and the thing with Adam Green movies is he also makes appearances in his movies. Like he's always like an extra in there, so it's always fun to like find him. But I would highly recommend Frozen. It is. But I think, is that everything we have?
Yeah, I already went through my list.
Yeah, well, that's everything we have for you guys. I really wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, have a spooky holiday season, and hopefully we gave you some recommendations to watch over the next several weeks before your holiday starts. And if you like these videos, then please subscribe to my channel. Kat is always on my channel, and we're always giving new recommendations. We've got some Valentine videos planned. We got a bunch of different stuff planned. So yeah, just join this little corner of the internet. And yeah, we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.